This morning, we're learning about a new lawsuit out of Montana over the state's recent ban on the app TikTok. This comes after Montana became the first state to ban the app. The newly signed bill makes it illegal for app stores to give users the option to even download it and illegal for the company to operate within the state. Each violation could come with a $10,000 fine.
And right now, there are a lot of questions about how this is actually going to be enforced. So we brought in our 9 News legal analyst, Whitney Traylor, to clear things up. Whitney, before we get into that, we first got to acknowledge the lawsuit this is now facing there in Montana. How is this going to hold up in court?
Well, I think the plaintiffs are going to win. I think Montana is going to lose. And so they just enacted this, and then right afterwards they filed the lawsuit. And essentially the lawsuit is saying, look, Montana, you don't have the authority to ban this whole situation in our state based on First Amendment, which has been an issue ongoing. But they're also saying, look, you don't have the right to Montana doesn't have the national security interests, so they're saying it's a kind of a federalism argument, saying this is up to the federal government. So I think they are going to lose based on this broad ban, and they were expecting the lawsuit, and this is kind of how our common law system works, is that somebody does something and then it goes to court and that creates precedent. So the Attorney General was expecting this, but I think Montana's going to lose.
How would this even be enforced in the first place?
That's the question. So what they want to do is not fine users, but as you said in the intro, they want to say anybody who gives the opportunity to download it, who actually does download it, and it will be essentially the internet service provider, so Google and Apple, those folks, and they'd be fined $10,000 per day every time it happened. So the enforcement is going to be, that's the issue. I don't think they'll be able to enforce it because with VPNs and IP addresses and all this, people they won't be able to necessarily target just Montana. So it's going to be difficult to enforce as well.
Now, this is not the first time we have talked about a TikTok ban. The other times, though, were on government devices at the state level, at the city level. How is this different what Montana is doing?
So Montana, that's a great question. Montana's taking the whole state and saying anybody can't do this. Well, the current bans that are in place, the federal government prohibits its employees from downloading it, and half the states. So that is going to be lawful because the government is saying, look, we have these national security interests. But for Montana to do it broadly like that, I don't think it will hold water. And there's 200,000 Montanans that use it individually and about 6,000 companies in Montana that use it. So these are private citizens. That's the major difference.
Now, I do have a follow-up to that because I'm curious, does that only apply, if this were, to be carried out like what we were seeing now? Does it only apply to people who actually live in Montana? What about people traveling to Montana who vacation there?
That's a great question, too. If you come to visit or if somebody from Montana goes out of state, which they could then download it and they come back, that goes to the enforcement piece. So this is a bad piece of legislation, but it's good, though, because this is a major issue. The federal government has been dealing with this because the argument is that in China in 2014 and 2017, China passed some laws that said, look, if you're if you're a business, a Chinese business, we can request your information and you're required to provide it. And so here you have ByteDance is the parent company, and that's a Chinese company. But we heard in the Senate hearings that they said, no, there's no, this is being operated on American soil by an American company. No information is being passed over. And a lot of the critics are saying, look, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It doesn't matter if you ban TikTok because there's so many other companies operating that have access to our private data. So some folks are saying this isn't even going to do anything if this ban were to be enforced.
Well, we'll see what happens. As you were saying, it could set a precedent about what's to come. Appreciate you coming in.
Sure thing.